Here's President Biden today speaking at an event in Washington, D.C.
Folks, that's my message to all of us today. To all who love our country, to all of us who are dismayed by the present state of the union. This is no time to give up. It's time to get up. Get up and fight back.
Malcolm, would you and your fellow DNC members like to see the president active in the midterms campaigning around the country?
Listen, let me first of all just say something to what he just said. I'm going to answer your question directly,
of course.
but I'm happy to see the president, the former president, giving people this message, because I do think across the political spectrum, the Republicans don't love, President Biden, but who are also dismayed with what's going on in the country right now. And I'm happy to hear him talking about people getting engaged in the political process. I think it's true of all political figures that there are going to be areas in communities where you showing up, you're very popular. That's going to be a great place for you to be. There are going to be districts that are more tenuous where people don't want you campaigning there. The president was in Nebraska recently, a Nebraska Democratic Party, function. I think it was their most sold out event ever. People were happy to see him there. I think there are going to be some members in swing districts who are saying, please don't campaign, here. But I think the former president understands very well the existential nature of people raising their hands, running for office. And I think getting common sense, serious people elected to Congress who actually see Congress as a co-equal branch of government. And I think that's going to be at the core of the race next year, whether or not members who are running and want to remain in Congress and want to be there for the first time are going to say, irrespective of their political party, that they're going to be a check on this administration.
Patrick, I was struck by the fact that neither the current president nor the current vice president campaigned in Virginia or New Jersey in these races in person, in the governor's races. I'm wondering how in demand do you think those two people will be on the campaign trail in the midterms?
Well, look, I think that we saw in the Tennessee special election, right? And that was one where clearly Republicans thought, like, hey, there's a potential for some serious embarrassment here, even if it's not a flip, but if it's within a couple points, which is where it was looking possibly to be headed, based on some of the polling. And then you have the president come in a very, very strong way, encourage
I'm sorry to interrupt, but not in person.
Not in person, but I'm saying, like, I do think that he came in, but had he come in person, I think that would have been welcome given his strength in the district. But you're right. I mean, look, I think that this is going to be a district by district decision about where he goes and where he doesn't go. And, if there are places that went pretty strongly for him, where he needs to drag out, and then they need to drag out the entirety of the MAGA vote to win. I think they're going to deploy him, but I think that compared to the first term, right? I mean, I feel like, to me, I think they're being a little bit more judicious about where they're deploying him and whether they're not deploying him. I think the interesting question, right, is not only about Biden for the Democrats, but who are going to be the in-demand kind of Democratic campaigners, right, going into the midterms. I mean, you've got Gavin Newsom leading all the polls now. Kamala Harris went to Tennessee. But would you want Gavin Newsom to be campaigning for you? So I think, like, as we're looking to 2028, right? Who the leading national figures are. You've got Newsom, you've got Buttigieg, Harris is still up there in some polls. You've got AOC. And I have trouble seeing who's going to be the big draw.
Yeah.
Right. For Democrats, for these Democratic candidates.
I'll just note that you both very skillfully didn't answer my question, either in spirit or in fact. I appreciate how skillfully you did it, and I'm too tired. I'm too tired to press you to be with more specifics. Perhaps you've heard me talk about our good friends at Cozy Earth. Damn it, they're good. The bubble cuddle blanket, the towels, the sheets, and of course the pants, the t-shirts. I don't talk enough about the t-shirts. I probably should talk more about the t-shirts. But I do talk more than enough about the pants, because once again, ladies and gentlemen, it happened again. I got an email from one of you saying, I bought my husband a pair of pants. He doesn't normally care what pants I buy him. He loved the pants so much, he asked me to buy him more. And then before I did, he bought them himself. He never buys clothes online for himself. This story sounds familiar to you because I hear from folks all the time. If you haven't bought the pants yet, you're thinking, whatever, the pants. Buy the fucking pants. They're really good. And now you can get them for 40% off. Everything on CozyEarth.com is 40% off if you use the promo code two-way. Go to CozyEarth.com, promo code two-way. Not sure how the sponsor would feel about me using profanity, but dear Cozy Earth, it's a manifestation of my appreciation for how great your stuff is. CozyEarth.com, promo code two-way. They say that something that's easy is like a walk in the park. Well, easier than a walk in the park, hit the subscribe button, be part of the two-way community, never miss an episode, be part of our conversations. Thank you for your service to America. And don't forget, you can now listen to the morning meeting and two-way tonight on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.